Hello everyone, welcome to episode, we believe it's 71 of Lesbian Talk.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and this is the first one done since Megan moved over that we're not in the same place anymore. Oh no, I'm so upset.
Well, we're not very far away. But hopefully it will solve our persistent audio issues. So.
That's never gonna happen.
That's probably true. I'm just done fooling myself.
Yeah, Omega lives with the minions.
Minions!
How are you enjoying living over there?
It's very nice. I've been adopted by one of the cats.
Only one?
Well, because the other one, I don't know where she sleeps, but the one cat has decided that she really likes my bed, so. That noise that you could hear in the background is the doorbell here. It plays for release, because that's just how fucking cultured we are here. You got a problem with that? Yeah, if you hear any noises, I do have my window open, because it's been kind of, not warm for, like, an American summer, but warm here in Northern Ireland, so I have my window open, so if you hear it jingling, it's the cat running around outside. Sometimes people talk outside, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, in honor of us yesterday going to Belfast and attending the Belfast Zoo, we're going to talk about zoological stuff in the first half, and then we're going to move over to talk about Listen.
What you really came here to hear, everybody.
Yes.
We know what you want, we're going to give it to you.
After we talk about fucking zoos.
Fucking zoos, motherfucker.
Okay, this was your first experience with a zoo outside of the United States. What did you think?
It was nice. I mean, there were definitely some idiosyncrasies that took a bit of understanding. Like how in the American zoo you walk in and there's usually some kind of animal like right there, like first thing. We had to go on this safari quest through the woods to find an animal. And then we're like, oh, there's an antelope-ish kind of thing over there. I took a picture on my phone. There goes.
Yeah, I took a bit. You had to, in order to get to the animals, you had to leave the big building thing. Then you had to either go down the side road and see some crappy stuff, or just walk forward and past this building, what has been abandoned since 1973.
Oh my God, you guys! There's going to be, if you're watching the visual version, there's going to be pictures up. But so I have to explain that it was very cloudy. That yesterday, and also that it was kind of misty because this Belfast Zoo is up a fucking mountain. Like, it seriously is up a fucking mountain. Like, you can look down and probably see France. So everything, like all the pictures that we took, kind of look a little bit spooky and like Silent Hill. So.
Yeah, it's very dramatic. It's not quite up a mountain, but it is definitely it's on a slope. And
it's called Cave Hill. And I'll have a picture, I think that'll be the first picture I have up, so Google it, it's fucking huge. It's just huge.
If you look one side, you just got the sheer cliff from the distance, that's a little bit away from the zoo, covered in trees and stuff with a big rock. And it looks like something out of Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or something. It really does. And then you look the other way and you can just see, pretty much nothing because you're over, water, bits of the city of Belfast, but you're at such an angle that you can't actually really see it. So it feels like you're on the side of an Andes mountain.
And also we went and got lunch first because we were hungry. And the cafeteria was like the Overlook Hotel because it was misty outside, it was foggy and cloudy, and the place was empty. And then you got a sausage roll.
Yes, there was almost no one at the zoo that day because Tuesday, end of summer's finished, school is back, and it was like there were people working in the cafe. They were like, "Oh no, there's no one here. This is so terrifying. This is like a horror movie." Ah!
Oh no. But okay, so what was your favorite animal that we saw?
My favorite animal is, as always, the red panda.
Which at first was hiding up the trees, but then we came around the other side and we got some pretty good photos of that.
Yeah, I love red pandas. If I was going to be a furry, I would be a red panda, but I'm not a furry.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it live. So anyone who draws furry art, get to it. Hagan is a red panda. Just saying.
What was your favorite one you saw?
I don't know. I liked the gorilla that came over to look at us. That was kind of cool. I liked those little teeny beany monkeys that hop around. We saw some sad monkeys. I liked the pigs. There was a farm part and there were pigs.
Oh, giant fucking rabbits.
They were huge. I mean, I would say well, that'd be fine if they were being farmed for meat, but rabbit meat is not very nutritious. It's very lean. So it costs you more calories to process it than it gives you. Fun fact, this is called rabbit starvation.
Yeah. Eat only rabbits, you will die.
Mm-hmm. Thumper's revenge. Wah, wah, wah.
And there was a turkey. I'd never...
Turkeys are horrible.
I'd never come face to face with a turkey before.
I hate birds. They're just...
You were terrified. Anytime it
I was
moved,
not
you
terrified.
Like
It's
back
just like
and put it like a martial arts stance with your hands
I never did any
up.
such thing. The lying liar.
You were going to punch it?
This was a thing that did not happen. Are you done now?
Probably.
Okay. But yeah, no, I don't like birds as much as mammals because they're strange and they don't love their young the way mammals do. I mean, theoretically they do, but I don't know. But yeah, but turkeys, I don't like turkeys. They just look like a big, horrible thing, and they're just puntable, and they're really stupid. And you know that thing on its beak, the wattle? Like, up close, it, like, moves. Like, it's, like, will, like, be shrunk up, and then it would, like, be, like, long and extended, and then, like, move back up. It's kind of like a face penis. I'm just saying. Turkey face penis. Think about that.
It was a bit of an... I never noticed that its proboscis would actually...
Like, move of its own accord.
Yeah, it was rather odd.
It was upsetting. We saw every single kind of lemur, because that's something that the Belfast Zoo excels in, apparently, is every lemur ever.
Including the little ones that have, like... They look like martial arts masters. They got, like, really big mustache, you know, in white and with a little beard thing. They look like the guy who trained the bride in Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yes, they did, the little Pai Mei monkeys.
Yeah.
You have come to me because you wish to learn the 5-finger death technique. But yeah, so, also they had a really exotic animal, you guys. They had prairie dogs.
Yes.
They had a whole warren of prairie dogs. So exotic, prairie dogs.
Which were in a cold war with the meerkats, which, and as we know, if you're in the UK, meerkats are all Russian, so the prairie dogs are all American. So they had a cold war going on. You can tell the prairie dogs are American because they're like meerkats but fat.
Okay, so if you don't know, apparently there's an advert for some kind of product on UK TV involving meerkats with Russian accents. Mm-hmm. So that's all anyone talked about anywhere near the meerkats. Not just us, like other people. And I was like, I don't get it, I'm American. But I'm gonna go on YouTube and watch the adverts.
I'll find you a picture of it to put there.
Okay. I probably won't put it there. I'll probably put my own pictures of the meerkats there. Just saying.
Oh.
Well, what are you gonna do? And they had elephants, but these elephants were old and sad.
Well, yeah, one of the elephants had been there since like 1964. She was the oldest, animal at the zoo, who'd been there for the longest.
He's like, I'm so old, I'm so sad. Where's my soup?
She likes stealing stuff from people.
I think that's great. If an elephant was like, I'll take that. Yoink. Fun fact, I got sneezed on once by an elephant when I was a little toddler at the Philadelphia Zoo, because back in the day, that they didn't have that huge big trough. So the elephants could reach across, and you could pet their trunk or give them nuts or stuff like that. So this must have been like 82 or 83 at least. And so I was there with my aunt, and she's like, okay, give me your peanut. And it like went whoosh, and like this big rush of hot air like all over me. And I remember just standing there like motionless, being like so stunned. And my aunt was like doing that thing with little kids, where she's like, you're okay, you're fine. We have to like convince the child it's okay. And I'm like, what? She's like, the elephant sneezed on you. And I was like, no.
I gotta say, I had never heard a lion roaring in real life until yesterday.
I have, but only on YouTube.
Well, not real life, I mean.
Okay.
It was quite loud.
It is. I mean, like...
Well, yeah, obviously I should have realized it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, I've only seen it through watching Big Cat Rescue's YouTube channel. You should definitely subscribe because they're awesome. But it was really cute because, like, the one of the zoo people was like, all right, come on, lions, things and stuff, go in here to get treats. And one of the lions was like, rah, rah, rah. And it was very loud. Like, you could hear him literally across the zoo. And so we come around the other side of the enclosure, and my father-in-law's trying to get a good picture. And there was this little teeny kid in his mom's arms, and he's like, I don't want the lion to get me, Mommy. She's like, I can't get you, the lion will get me. And it was cute. His fear was cute, which is a terrible thing to say. So, let's see, what else did we see? We saw a whole bunch of stuff. We saw some snake, with like 3 snakes. They were just sitting there, snakely. That wasn't fun. We saw some gorillas. They're always fun. I like gorillas. One of them had a little baby one.
Oh yeah, the little baby was like a foot tall and was just like wandering around. It was like a gorilla toddler.
Yeah, because it would follow one of the gorillas one place, and then it would like put like, it was really funny because it was playing exactly like a human child. It would put like, one hand and one foot up on the rope swing, and then like swing like back and forth, and look up and be like, I'm swinging the thing. And then it would look at the ground again and play in the dirt for a while it's swinging, and it's like, I'm swinging on a thing, I'm just saying. I was like, that's so human. Good job, monkey.
And we saw it was either the lemurs or the smaller than lemurs, I can't remember the name. They getting fed, which was amusing. They're just leaping around and grabbing.
Yeah, it's really great because like the zookeeper's just like doing her thing. She like has a bowl of whatever fruit they get. Just opens the door, walks right, it's the sliding door, walks right into the enclosure, and all the little ones like bee, like swarming on her. And she's like, here you go, and one jumps on her shoulder. Where I was like, look. And so she put the bowl down. They were like, hooray, and swarming around. So then she just leaves the enclosure and then counts them just to make sure none hopped away. Because apparently, animals very frequently escape from the Belfast Zoo, and they escape into the Belfast Castle grounds. Right now, they're on the lookout for one of their most ferocious animals, which has escaped the zoo, a wild raccoon. So, we live in Belfast. Be on the lookout. You see Wild Raccoon, right, the show?
When you were talking about snakes, I was reminded when we were in New Orleans Zoo, where we saw the two-headed snake.
That was pretty cool, that snake was.
Yeah.
I like snakes, and, I mean, like, sometimes you'll see them, like, in my neighborhood, very, very small ones, like the kind of small ones that just eat bugs. But, so, around here, whenever I'm walking around in, like, the wilderness or, like, in a woody area, I'm like, oh, better watch out for snakes. Oh, wait, it's Ireland, and that's the point. I keep forgetting that there are no snakes in Ireland. That's the point. But, yeah.
In the educational center, they had a statue, or a carving, should say, of a giant spider, which my father was very, very amused by, because he thought, well, this is going to be wonderful for children's education. Treat them, convince them they're giant spiders.
Well, in that same area, they also had little baby goats.
Smaller than spiders.
Yeah. I like goats. Well, okay. I like goats in theory. Because when they make noise, it sounds like a person going, ah!
They do. Have you seen the video clip of the goat singing the Doctor Who theme?
I have indeed. Well, I remember I can't remember if we were at a farm or at Linville Orchard, or we were somewhere where there was a petting zoo. And there was a group of school children there who occasionally were going, ah, at the goat. The goat would go, ah, back, and this just kept going on for a very long time.
It was hilarious.
It was more hilarious once we went away. And we saw pigs. They were nice pigs. We didn't see an elephant shrew, unfortunately.
Yeah. We saw those things that looked like elephant shrews, but they were much bigger.
Yeah, we saw some kind of creature that had it was some kind of wild pig. It had a very, very long snout, so it looked kind of like an elephant shrew, but not really. And apparently they had big, huge South American Rodriguez fruit bats, but they were at the very top of the bird enclosure, and weren't exactly about to come down just to see me, so that was that.
Nice to see a sloth, though, although it was, like, above where we were walking, so it could have shit on us.
Yeah, it was, like, had its back turned and everything. Like, it was really great, because at one point, we walked past this father who was pushing his little daughter in a stroller. She goes, Daddy, where are all the animals, Daddy? Daddy, where are all the animals? And I'm going to be like, you know what? You know what, honey? We're wondering the same thing.
Well, all zoos are like that. You don't see all the animals.
Yeah, but, like, they're like, the tiger enclosure is so impressive, and there are no tigers inside of it. Where are the tigers? Fucked if we know. Belfast Castle, probably.
All the otters were missing.
And so we decided that about 70, we decided that we only saw about 78.3% of the zoo. Because the other animals were like, fuck this noise.
That's fairly average for zoos, though.
Yeah, that's true. There was even a sign that says, the animals are sometimes sleeping, so if you're an impatient person, you'll be quite disappointed, the sign chided us.
Yeah. So you were amused to see the prairie dogs there. But my father informed me that zoo in, I think it was Tel Aviv that he went to, they had ravens there, and they were really, really, really proud of having ravens there. I remember when I was in Thailand, I went to a zoo, and this was in Phuket, and they had little white rabbits, or brown rabbits, but they had white ones as well. And they also had, pine cones. in its own exhibit, which I recall being inside the
The
aquarium.
majestic pine cone.
Inside an aquarium.
Did they think that they were an underwater thing, or was it just there because they had the space?
I think they had a space and just filled it with pine cone because they look weird. But they also had like a lynx or something, like a wildcat inside the aquarium, and I was like...
The aqua lynx.
You really aren't getting what an aquarium's for. Although, it is all forgiven because their aquarium was inside a giant statue of a crocodile.
That's hardcore.
You walk in the mouth. And they had life-size statues of various dinosaurs. So there are photos of me somewhere on top of dinosaurs and sort of, as though I'm commanding them to destroy things.
Do you think you could give me a copy of that picture so I can use it for further blackmail?
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But the bird enclosure was not very impressive also. It smelled.
They were the Tina Turner punk birds.
There's these birds with these huge, like, mohawkish, like, feathery Tina Turner ruffs. And then one, like, came over and, like, pushed the other one out of the way. I'm like, it's Ike Turner. And I made an inappropriate joke.
That's totally appropriate.
And I was like, come on, what's corn got to do with it? Because they were pecking at corn.
And I was accused of making shit up whenever I pointed out that we have to continue going down this path to see Goodfellows climbing tree kangaroo.
Yeah, and so my father-in-law said, bah, you're making that up, Goodfellows tree climbing kangaroo. And she was like, no, it's right there on the sign.
It was like, what the fuck?
And so they were like fighting with each other, and then we realized that we had like interrupted some kind of serious mating time, so.
Yeah, well, it was mating in the sense that,
one wanted it and the other had a headache, let's put it that way.
Yeah. One had a headache so much she would punch the other in the face for attempting to shove their erection at her.
It was really funny to watch though, but kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the feeling that the male, after being rejected so thoroughly, is going to join a voice for tree kangaroos. And complain about, misandry, He needs a fedora.
Honey, hashtag not all kangaroos, okay? Sorry. If you'd like to complain, please write to Lankara. But yeah, so it was fun. I enjoyed it. Good zoo, would recommend.
Although the tree kangaroo is absolutely gorgeous coloring.
It was like kind of brown and red and white in some places.
Yeah, and there was this type of South American bear, the Andean bear, lovely sort of shade of, with yellow and black and all. It was wonderful coloring.
And then there was a Malaysian sun bear, which sounds like it should be forming its own religion. And my father-in-law made an inappropriate joke about Malaysian Airlines, and we said, boo. Boo. And there's also, near the summit, there is a memorial sacred to the lives of 10 U.S. airmen who were trying to land a supply plane in the area during World War II, and they became lost in the fog and hit the mountain. And despite the best efforts of the local townspeople, they all died. But the cool thing was that someone had come along and put wreaths of plastic poppies up for them, for Remembrance Day, even though they weren't British. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, remembrance things are not just for people of the same nationality.
I know. I thought that was nice. That was the nice thing that they do. They're like, here is the zoo, but here's also the place where those poor Americans died. So we'll have a little thing for them.
And there were sea lions. And you were all like, sea lions, they're boring and all. And then
when did I say that? I never said anything of the sort.
I seem to recall something along the lines of you being unimpressed by the sea lions because they're around America, and then having your mind blown.
I never said that they were boring. I said, sea lions, because I've seen sea lions before.
You had your mind blown when you discovered that there are seals off the coast of Northern Ireland.
I was like, can we go see them sometime? Or something, hang around.
I don't think we can make it an appointment. Okay?
I'm sorry, sir. The seal is busy today. You'll have to call tomorrow. What? But I need to see the seal immediately. I'm sorry, sir. He's just too busy to see you today. There's like a line of people going around Loch Foyle just waiting to see the seal. It's like, and every time you walk by, you hear that one repetitive dialogue from that part in Dragon Age 2. Good luck and again. I've been waiting to see the seal all day. But yeah, so that was that. It was good. was good. Like I said, it was fun. So if you're in Belfast, you should totally check that out. Go to the Belfast Zoo. And, maybe you'll see a tiger. You never know.
It's most definitely not the worst zoo that we've been to together.
That would be the National Depression Zoo in Delaware.
Yeah.
Depression.
But it's good. I can't wait until we get to go to Edinburgh Zoo, because I want to see
the penguins march.
Yeah. I have not been to Edinburgh Zoo in about 20 years, and I would love to go again.
I'll be glad to go with you, honey, but do you know what time it is?
Time for Giovanni?
No, I see it at the end, remember?
Never.
It's time for the return of a feature that you thought I forgot about, but how could I ever? One time at the store. Okay, so if this is your first time listening to Lesbian Talk, if you haven't heard our show before, I spent a little over a decade working at a large chain bookstore. I've been there, I've done that, I've seen it all, and I'm not stopping just because I'm in another country now. So, when I try to think of a story from the store, it's really hard because I will say to my good lady wife, hey, have I talked about this before? And she'll have to remember if I've talked about it on the show or if I told her that one time. And be like, I think so, maybe. I don't know.
I have a terrible memory.
No, it's not your fault because I'm telling stories from the store all the time to her, but only sometimes on the show.
But I've still got a terrible memory.
Yeah, that's true, you do. But, so this actually happened, and I think that I will call this story The Treasure Hunt. Now, this happened at my first store, and I was not on shift at the time. I actually had the day off, and I was on the next day, which is how I heard about this. So I had this manager, and she was a no-nonsense kind of person. Really good manager, always would, bend over backwards to help you out. Really good person. So, apparently, a person came up to her and said, excuse me, where is your restroom? And they were doing the potty dance. And, so she said to this man, oh, it's up back in the corner, just go back there. So apparently the man went back there with much urgency. And then about 15 minutes later, a customer came up to the desk and said, can I talk to your manager? And so whoever was at the desk, I think it was, no, he was gone by then. I think it might have been Joe. But anyway, whoever came up to, who was at the desk, called the manager, and, the manager came up and said, so there's, poop on the floor. And the manager said, in the women's room? And the customer said, no, back over there by the music books. My manager, determined to get to the bottom of this har situation, goes back and saw that, indeed, there was fecal matter on the floor. And then she went a little bit further, and she found some more fecal matter. And then she paged the other manager that she needed to see him back by music. And apparently, this customer who had asked for the restroom with great urgency had led a kind of zigzag trail all the way from customer service to the restrooms. And by then, this customer was long gone. And the mess had to be cleaned up, but fortunately, only managers can clean up bodily fluids. That's what they pay them the big bucks for. So, the mill manager got the mop, and that was his job. But yeah. And I want to stress, this is not a gender thing. The mill manager did it probably because he was offered many, many, many compensation-y treats and prizes by the other manager, who probably would have died.
Okay.
That's the kind of thing that happens in customer service. Sometimes there's poop. But fortunately, I was always a little peon bookseller, so it was never my responsibility to clean up.
So yeah, it's one of the things that never happens whenever you're making internet reviews.
This is true. No one ever... I guess maybe like the cats, I guess.
Humans don't enter where you work and then, shit on the floor.
Although I'm sure that there are a lot of people who, if they didn't like the review of a certain reviewer, like any of the reviewers, would be like, oh, I wish I could just go and shit on their floor.
I know that Brad at one point received this massive box. It was sent to him via, from someone, they thought it was a fan sent it or something. And, because bigger names receive weird things, so it's okay, I got a big package, let's see what someone sent me this time. Sometimes people receive computers and just random things. In one time with Brad, it was 50 pounds of shit.
Huh? What?
Yeah.
How did that... That's against the law. That's a biohazard. You can't ship a biohazard.
Well, I remember, this was back when he was married to Jillian, and she tweeted about it. But he was not in at the time, and so she had to drag it into the house, then opened it up, and then discovered what it was.
Okay, so if you send Brad Jones a box of shit, write the show. Actually, don't. Don't write the show. We don't want to hear from you. But yeah, so that's something I didn't know before today. But in later news, honey, what did we watch this week?
We watched Listen. But wait. There's at least 30% of the audience skipped the zoo stuff just so they could go to Doctor Who, so let's talk about the zoo for another 10 minutes just to annoy them.
No, we can't. I'm timing this.
Okay.
You guys don't know it. It's like 7:15 p.m. in Greenwich Mean Time, and I want takeaway. So as soon as we finish recording, I'm out of here. I'm going down the street to get takeaway.
Okay, we'll watch Listen, and I'm going to be broadly positive to this episode.
Well, let me go first, because you're going to be more in-depth than I am. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, I watched this, and admittedly, I watched it a few days later on BBC iPlayer, so sue me.
Well, so did I.
Yeah. But, this was one of the best episodes of New Who that I've seen, because it was severely atmospheric, and, again, spoilers, you should know by now. But, so the part where they're in little Rupert Pink's bedroom, and the thing is turning around, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Now I have my bedroom window open, and at that moment, my brother-in-law chose to go out into the back garden and call for the cat. So I'm like, oh, what's going on out here? Gee! And I was like, oh, it's just my brother-in-law. Okay, everything's fine now. But there were a few things I didn't like about it, but all in all, I approved of most of it, but I really want to slap Clara. Unfortunately, I'm finding that I'm liking her less and less. You know, she's, like, a lot of this was her fault, and I think if she'd just been honest and told the doctor, look, there's something you have to know, because I might be about to create a paradox or two. But he was like, oh, what's your relationship to this person? She's like, nothing. And I'm like, stop misbehaving, and don't order the doctor around, bitch. I'm sorry, that sounded misogynist. I mean, like, if it was a guy, I still would have said, bitch, don't order the doctor around, but I'm like, seriously, you can't do that. What the fuck do you think you are?
Now, the stuff that you found most positive, the sort of the creepiness, the unique ideas, and, like, you know, self-contained sort of...
Yeah, I like the doctor using the scientific method. I like the doctor thinking, I wonder, and I can, you know, imagine being a scientist, having the ability to go anywhere in time and space to research anything you want. And him not just effing around and spanking the butt of historical figures or something like that. You see a lot in New Who, but, like, thinking like a scientist, thinking methodically, like an educated... I don't know, I have something I really like that, I don't know why.
Well, it's got more in... The story itself's got more in common with the sort of things that Moffat would do before he was showrunner. Episodes like Blink and Lady Girl in the Fireplace and stuff. Whenever he was basically seen as the messiah of Doctor Who, and his concepts and ideas weren't driven into the ground by several years of him being showrunner. He's just not very good at it. But yeah, it reminded me more of his older stuff that he would do for Russell T Davies.
Well, I really liked it. I'm liking Daniel Pink a little bit more, but I really just want to slap those two when they're together. And I mean, is it going to be another like Amy and Rory Pond situation? Because now we know that they'll get together at some point, and we know that their family line will continue. So, I mean, quite honestly, when they introduced that his descendant, the time traveler, I really thought, oh wow, I get how they're doing it. So they're going to have this actor play this character's descendant, and he'll be a companion. But that's not what happened.
No, that's not what happened. Now, okay, this was...
Oh, can I say one thing I didn't like first? Before you launch?
Sure.
One thing that I didn't like was at the end, when Clara's like, no, see, because, you know, like in her mind, oh wait, because I grabbed young little doctor's foot, I created all this at the start. But here's the thing, that's an awful lot of coincidences then, because what was on the other side of the airlock that, you know, that Osmond Pink was so afraid of? Well, he'd be like, oh, well, he's been there for so long he went mad. Well, that's an awfully specific way to go mad. And then, what was the thing in little Daniel Pink's bedroom? Okay, yes, technically it could have been, you know, one of his friends poking fun, but I don't know. This was filled with too many coincidences to be as wrapped up as neatly as it was. And that part kind of annoyed me. Also, don't coddle the doctor like he's a kid. bitch. Although I was okay with her interaction with young Doctor.
Okay, I'm coming from I fully admit that the chances are in universe there was a monster. However, I am on the side that there wasn't a monster simply because I want to see a Doctor Who where there's no monster. Several times in the show's history they attempted to do stories without monsters. Every time, either a producer or someone higher up forced them to put a monster into it. For instance, Inferno was supposed to have no monster. Father's Day was supposed to have no monster. Andrewzani was supposed to have no traditional monster, just having evil humans. But then they put the Magma Beast in there and it looked like shit.
Magma Beast!
So, just because of that, I want there to have been no monster. And I admit that at some point there will be a sequel and they will reveal what it was, although they haven't done that with the Midnight Monster, so maybe there's hope.
Well, here's the thing. I wonder if anyone's going to go digital and take, that one frame where you see it kind of, but it's blurred out because the camera's focus is on the Doctor or Clara. I wonder if someone's going to take that and try to unblur it in, like, Photoshop or something.
I think it was just like the actor who played it.
Yeah, but I want it to be something cool. Like a bad guy.
My issue with it is, okay, we got yet more of Moffat's, tiny, wimey, wibbly wobbly, stupidity whoopity. Although
I like, I'm going to interrupt you again. I like the Doctor using a psychic paper again, but like a boss.
And it was nice to see the Doctor putting someone to sleep with the touch of a finger because that was something that the Seventh Doctor did in Survival in the last story of the classic show.
Well, is it Time Lords or all Gallifreyans are touch telepaths?
I believe it's Time Lords only.
I thought that was so great. Once upon a time. Sleep.
Okay, the Doctor as a child. Irritated by it. The story would have been better without that shit. However, okay, one of the greatest strengths of Doctor Who fans is that we can take disparate things that make no sense and we can think of ways to make them make sense. The entire of Doctor Who fandom was dedicated to doing that during the period from 89 to 2005 in books. There were entire books that only existed to explain plot, problems between two stories in the classic show. This is the shit that we do. And as such, I am able to fit this young Doctor into my into my headcanon, even though like I've said in my videos and stuff, I fully support the Looms. Now in the Looms Doctor Who things, Gallifreyans are created as adults. Physical adults with mentally as children. Now I've seen other people on forums being all like, that doesn't mean that he was a small child. We didn't see enough of him. He could have been like a 15-year-old or something. We don't know.
With really, really, really fine hair.
Yes.
Maybe he's loomed with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
But my POV is that was the other. The other being the person that the Doctor was a reincarnation of, who, alongside Rassilon and Omega, set up Time Lord Society, at one point committed suicide by throwing himself into the Looms, and he was later reincarnated as the Doctor. The other being, the other, also known as Susan's grandfather.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Yeah, the Doctor went back in time in his first TARDIS trip, and he went back into Gallifrey's past, picked up Susan, who was... Okay. In Doctor Who, in the book, this is the books, never been mentioned really in the show. The Sisterhood of Karn, who who appeared in the Night of the Doctor with the Eighth Doctor and the Brain of Morbius, cursed the Time Lords with sterility. I'm not entirely sure how, but they did.
That was a very, very, very bad one-night stand that had consequences that would span eons.
Yes, but before that happened, Time Lords reproduced sexually. After that, they invented the Looms. Now, the other was from before the cursing, or he was born before the cursing, and so was Susan. The Doctor was loomed after the cursing. So, he went back in time, and that's why Susan is his biological granddaughter, even though he didn't actually have any children.
Makes sense.
Doctor Who fandom, taking random things that don't make any fucking sense together and running with it for fucking, since 1963.
Well, has New Who ever had a strict thing about the looms?
They've never mentioned it, and the closest thing was in the Doctor's Daughter, whenever they had a thing which was pretty much the looms, and the Doctor was horrified by it, and I was really pissed off by that. It was like,
but in the 50th though, like when Gallifreyan citizens are fleeing, there are children among them, and then there's a line like, how many children were there on Gallifrey? So wouldn't that, in theory, be New Who saying that the looms are not canon?
You can, but, Doctor Who fans, we are capable of coming up with ways around this.
We are capable of ignoring reality.
No. The trick is not to ignore reality. The trick is to explain it away. It's like a wonderful, it's like an inverse conspiracy theory. You gotta take these things that don't make sense and then force them to make sense. Like, for instance, we don't know when Gallifrey was destroyed. It could have been destroyed in the time before the Doctor was loomed, before the Curse of Sterility. Those images of children running away, that could have been someone visualizing it. That does not have to actually be flashbacks.
Okay, dear, I said as I stepped away cautiously. No, that's a lie. I'm reclining on the bed, so.
That's just off the top of my head. It's, there's nothing that people can bring up, which, if someone has it in their mind that they want this to be in their canon, then there is nothing you can do to actually end that. There's so much stuff in Doctor Who that is so self-contradictory that you can always find a way around. Plus, the show's about time travel and changing history.
That's a good point.
But, one of the issues I had, actually... Okay.
Why did the Sisterhood curse all Gallifreyans if the Time Lords pissed them off?
Because they're the Sisterhood of Karn.
Okay, then you knew what you were saying.
Okay, they had the War Doctor returning to the barn to destroy things, but here's the problem. Was the barn on Gallifrey? Because even...
Yeah, I wasn't sure because he went there in his TARDIS, so I wasn't, where was that? They never really said where it was.
Even Day of the Doctor, which changed the Time War from this, Lovecraftian eldritch craziness to basically millions and millions and millions and millions of Dalek ships firing at Gallifrey. If you look at the shots of the War Doctor wandering around, there are no fucking Dalek ships anywhere near.
Well, maybe he's somewhere that's very rural, so it wouldn't be being targeted because a lot of people have fled to the cities. Maybe that's what I was thinking when I saw that scene in this past episode, is thinking, well, maybe the Doctor grew up on this farm area, this farm settlement that it looked pretty desolate, that since has had a drought. It's just, not the way that it was anymore after all the centuries. Yeah, so maybe that was an uninhabited, now an uninhabited part of Gallifrey.
Yeah, but according to, Day of the Doctor has Gallifrey vanishing and the Daleks basically firing each other, and then, the shots go right through where the planet was and destroy each other. Mm-hmm. In order for that to work, the Daleks have to be all around the planet. It doesn't matter if it's rural, it doesn't matter if it's city, it doesn't matter if it's a sea or a desert. They will be firing it. They want to destroy the planet.
Yeah, but, I don't know. I got the idea that the barn where the moment was kind of somehow removed from everything, and that's why it was all sunny and happy, and for some reason, Bad Wolf Rose was there.
Plus, there's the problem that Gallifrey's sky is red.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
Sorry, not red. Red or yellow. I can't remember which one. But it's definitely not blue. They actually had to explain away that the Death Zone from the Five Doctors has a blue Earth-like sky because it is the Death Zone and it is not part of regular Gallifrey.
Oh, dear, Stephen Moffat. What have you done? Yeah,
so all this evidence suggests...
Maybe,
that's not Gallifrey.
Maybe, she meant this barn, not, metaphysically. This is a barn, this is a defining moment of who you are, that you will remember this barn, and maybe that's why the War Doctor sought out a barn that was very similar. Because obviously that barn was a loft, because she goes upstairs, and I don't think that the one in Time of the Doctor was a loft.
Maybe it isn't the same one, but based on the episode, it looked like they were trying to...
Maybe we're all barns inside.
I got the feeling from the episode they were trying to claim that it was.
Yeah, well.
But Moffat strikes me as the sort of guy who is so obsessed with his own cleverness that he's so sure his stuff makes sense, and we're all too stupid to realize it, that it doesn't, to realize that it does make sense, even though it clearly doesn't make sense. He's like a guy who's running around, mostly naked, covered in his own excrement, going, "Can't you see I'm a genius? I have just superglued a cat to this banana. I have invented perpetual motion."
Mm-hmm.
That's what Moffat's like.
I believe you. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, Pink is gonna need to grow on me, and I just want to bitch slap Clara sometimes. Stop being stupid. Stop being you. Just stop that. You.
That's weird. Most fans seem to prefer her this season.
I know. I don't know. I'm like, you know about paradoxes. Like, other companions, can claim that they didn't know. But she knows about paradoxes. So when the doctor asks you a question, you answer truthfully. None of this emotional stuff. That's not what you're there for. You're there to be a companion. If you can't hack it, you need to go home. I mean, like, maybe that's too much of a business, like, like, this is the TARDIS, and if you can't keep your emotions at home, then you can stay at home. But, I don't know. This episode, I just was like, really, Clara? Really? No. But, yeah. But, I mean, the kid actor who played young Rupert Pink, he did a good job. I didn't find his performance cloying, so that's always good. But, final thoughts?
The best episode, thus far, I really could have done without the bit at the end. It is more like old school Moffat, which I liked. Capaldi continues to be really, really, really good. Big part of me hopes that Moffat leaves after this season and we get the new guy in. Even though Anthony Horowitz, I believe, is the guy who's muted. Last time he tried to do a television science fiction show, it was fucking awful, and it was called Crime Traveler. But
times have changed. Maybe he has matured like a fine wine or cheese.
But it would be interesting to get a guy who who is not a Doctor Who fan in charge of the show. It would be interesting.
Maybe he wouldn't feel as compelled to make his mark in canon, so to speak. He would just be concerned about putting on a good show. And that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, Star Trek was taken over by a non-fan before Wrath of Khan. And Wrath of Khan came out quite well, and then the same guy came back. The only other bit of Star Trek he was interested in whenever he came back was Star Trek 6. So he did those two. He didn't care about Star Trek at all, and it's like, sometimes a non-fan can do wonders. Sometimes they do a big pile of shit.
You can quote her on that, ladies and gentlemen.
I would be, no, I didn't mean to indicate that Star Trek 6 is a pile of shit.
No, but there's like a very poetic way of putting it.
So, whoever takes over from Moffat, my hope would have been, honestly, I would like Charlie Brooker to take over, but it's not going to happen.
Awesome, that'd be so cool.
But, Horowitz, if he does take over...
Charlie Brooker, if you're listening, write the show. We'll have you on.
Okay. I will be hopeful.
But, yeah, so that was that. So now it is time for the part of the show that we couldn't get rid of, even though we tried, didn't do it for like a month. Giovanni's trivia question. And Giovanni, are you with us today?
Yeah, boss, I'm here, my new gigs. Just settling in. How's everybody out there in Internet Radio Land? How y'all doing?
We're alive.
Well, that's good. That's what I like to hear. So, I decided to give you guys a break because it's obvious that nobody knows and nobody cares where the phrase jaywalking came from, and that's fine. That's fine. It's not like I'm offended. It's not like I'm hurt.
It just means you're smarter than them.
Yeah, there you go. But so anyway, the phrase jaywalker comes from the word jay, meaning someone who is careless or a fool. So if you're a jaywalker, you're walking foolishly or carelessly, and in most parts of the United States, you can be ticketed for that. But not here in Europe, as I'm finding out. So, what's the question for this week? Well, we'll try to make this one a little bit easier, okay? For you mammals, I know you're not quite as intelligent as crustaceans, but it's okay. It's okay. We'll go with your limitations. So anyway, who gave away the bride at the wedding of Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Eleanor Roosevelt? Who was that mysterious, enigmatic person? So, if you know, once this goes up on Blip, be the first person to tweet at the Omega, and that's at the Omega Geek, and tell her the answer. And if it's you, you're going to be my favorite mammal for this week. What could be better than that? Nothing. So anyway, my adoring radio public, I will see you all next time.
Bye-bye, Giovanni.
Thank you for being nice to him. It means a lot to me. But so anyway, that has been us for episode 71 of Lesbian Talk. I have been the Omega Geek. And honey, who do you want to have been this week?
A big pile of shit.
Actually, I think you said that like 3 or 4 episodes ago.
Did I?
Yep.
Zinnia Jones.
You might have to ask her permission about that, but okay, sure, works for me. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.